The hardest fight I've ever had to fight wasn't the person opposite me, it was myself. That was my hardest fight because I had to beat him. I had to beat every single time saying, you're not worth being here. You shouldn't be here. Why are you here? All them people, all that time. That's why that bronze medal means more to me. It was a special moment because I ran off the mat and hugged my wife, who, saved me and helped me to get there.
Well, welcome to Dive Beyond Sport, the podcast where performance meets humanity. Today's guest is singer, but really, Judo double Paralympic medalist Chris Hunt Skelley MBE. Chris, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. I can't wait to chat to you guys.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. I'm super excited already based on the little preamble that we've been having. Chris, the first thing I'd love to hear, take us into that moment when you're stood there at the Paralympic Games, stood face to face with your opponent on the mat, about to fight it out for Paralympic gold. What are the thoughts, emotions, feelings going through your head at that time?
It's a PG program. This don't
Go do what you need to do.
Don't F it up. That's what it was. That it comes down to the most simplest of things. Like the whole thing. Like and I love. He's an American, and I love him. But you know where the Americans can be like sometimes they're very full on in the back, and like where the warm up area was, he was just trying to be like a, stamping his chair, like slapping his chest and everything like that, and trying to get himself bigged up. And I'm the opposite to that. So I'm very kind of just chill, go through your processes, know what you're going to do. My coach will give me a slap down and I'm ready. So when I was facing him, I was just like, don't F it up. I can't have him winning because he'll do a Netflix documentary and I'll be sitting at home pulling my hair out. So that's what's kind of was going through my head, if I'm honest. It was just like, do not lose this. And it becomes like, because the pressure was on me because, I went in world number one and my biggest opponent got sent home and like, it was just, yeah, it was just pure, simple, don't F it up. You know what I mean? And when I got the score, I was like, right, don't get scored on. So it's just the simplest of human reactions.
I love how simplistic it is, and often people do think that there's all this technical stuff going on in your mind, you're going through your process, visualizing whatever. I had the exact same feeling when I
Yeah.
got on the board for my first dive in Rio. I dreamt of this moment for years. I built it up to be this huge thing, and I literally got on the board. I was like, "You're here. This is it. Don't screw it up." And I almost fell off the side of the board.
No,
It's
mate, for
so
me,
simple.
it was like, don't be that. I was honestly thinking, like, don't be that viral guy
Yeah,
from the Olympic Games who wipes out. Like, don't be that guy.
do not be
Don't
that
be
guy.
that guy. Don't be the Netflix documentary. Don't be the viral wipeout,
And the thing is, it's like people like they watch like the Rocky movies and they watch all these amazing kind of sporting movies and they see the kind of like it's not like that. It is literally like you speak to your coach, he's like, right, you got to do this, and this. Don't F it up. And I was like, and sometimes me and him have, we have such a lovely, great relationship where he was just brutally honest with me, and he was like, you know what to do. You've beaten him before. Just don't, you know what I mean. Get on with it, and let's go and make history. So it was just like that, and luckily I didn't do it. So I stuck to the game plan. But yeah, it was hard
Just
work for 4 minutes.
how long were you working with that coach? Was that for most of your career, or?
So it's a real special kind of relationship we have. So I started judo at the age of 5. I kind of did it through my whole life. I've always done it. I still do it now. And I, he kind of was, he knew me from like Yorkshire Humberside area sessions, and he knows where I was from my club, which was Haunt Price Judo Club. And so we kind of knew each other for a long time. And then I luckily got to go to London 2012 Paralympics on the Paralympic Inspiration Programme. And me and my dear friend Jack, who I'm best mates with, and he's my dear friend for many years, we had to be chaperoned because, two lads can't see very well, might lose them, and one might, disappear. So you need someone there just to be the kind of the sounding person. And we originally had Trevor, who was an amazing man, but then Trevor I don't know what happened, but something meant he couldn't go, and John D came with us instead, and we got on anyway because of staying in the background, and then we kind of just hit it off, if I'm honest. Like we had a good relationship, and then I said to him, I looked at him, and I was like, because I went to go and watch judo with him and Jack, and we loved it. And I looked at it, and I turned to him, and was like, "That's going to be us in 4 years." And he laughed at me because like he believed I could go and do it, but he didn't think he would come with me. And then 4 years later in Rio, he sat in my chair, and then 8 years later, or 6 years later, apologies my math, he was then sat in my chair for the Paralympic gold medal, and then 10 years later, he was sat again from a bronze medal. So yeah, and he's still going now, so strong as ever.
Why did he think that he wouldn't be there with you?
I don't know why he didn't think because I think he thought he was a good coach, but he just he didn't think that was his journey. And then I always believe he was a good coach, and he had the abilities to be with me. I think he just like I don't know. I think sometimes self-confidence for everyone is hard, but for me the dream of becoming a Paralympian got relit when I watched that. So I knew I wanted to do that, and yeah, it was just really nice to go on that journey with him. He was my one and only coach.
I think that's really interesting actually because um, looking from a coach athlete relationship kind of thing, I think the normal view would be that the coach drives the athlete or the coach guides the athlete and the coach aspires and the athlete follows. But actually what you've suggested is it was almost the other way around. Like you were almost the one driving him, potentially dragging him along to aspire to reach the Paralympics. Would you agree or no?
I think you go through stages. I think sometimes you like sometimes I need it, sometimes he need it, sometimes I need it, and then you just for that natural relationship, you just take turns to take the lead. And I don't. I think that's what he was so good at. He kind of, you know, I can't give him too much credit because his head will get bigger, but he was ability to give me the power to go and lead, and he would follow. And then sometimes he would have to take control and lead from the front, and like that's a good coach, being able to kind of give the responsibility to the athlete, and that's how we kind of worked. And um, I still get messages off him now, and I don't see him as much because I've retired from professional judo. But it was just yeah, we had a good relationship, and he was there through the good times, through the bad times, and then he was back through the good times again. So yeah, it is a roller coaster together.
Yeah, exactly that. Being in the coaching world now, I really truly believe and see coaching as a collaboration, not a dictatorship. I want to hear the thoughts of the athlete. I want them to tell me what they want to do. I want them to be demanding of me, not just the other way around. I think that's really, really important. That sounds like exactly what you had.
100%, and that's how I coach now. Actually, is like I don't do the same level of coaching, but I do kind of club coaching, which I love. I love coaching at a club level, and I always say to people, it's like, listen, I do it. This is how I did it, but now it's the time for you to go and figure out your way. You know what I mean? And like, this is how I did it. You go and put your stamp on it, and I mean, some of the best coaches will be able to get that into someone, and he did that with me, and I hope we can do it for the next generation.
And so just to kind of give a bit of context and explain, obviously, we're talking about Paralympic and para judo here. But obviously you started off when you were 5 years old, just practicing in judo, right? And I think you did some rugby and stuff as well. Could you kind of explain a bit of that journey? Obviously, I'm gonna really mess this up, but you eventually figured out through a lot of work, it sounds like, that you were diagnosed with oculocutaneous albinism.
Do you know
How?
what? That could give points. Well done, because everyone messes it up. Well done. 10 points to Gryffindor.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, now I've got that out of the way. How would you be able to kind of just talk us through that, Chris?
I just quickly. I suspect that was giving you nightmares to pronounce, wasn't it? I bet you were
It
going.
was.
Hello.
I can relax into this now. I can.
I can relax now. That's hard out of the way.
He's been practicing for the last few weeks.
Yeah, he's just been going in the mirror. Ocular. No, so my journey to kind of so very well pronounced. Mine is oculocutaneous albinism. I had it since birth, but I didn't find out I had it till I was a teenager. And it's a mad story. So I've always had problems with the light. I'm wearing contact lenses at the moment. I should have my sunnies on, but I've left it in the other room. But it's fine. I'll just shut the curtains in a minute. But I always have struggled in the light. I've always struggled in my vision, but wore glasses. I kind of just lived with it. You know what I mean? Like at school, because I couldn't see the paper, so they blew the paper up for me, and I just lived with it. And I had these kind of fainting fits where they thought it was epilepsy, but actually turned out that it was just because sometimes people get so much with a light that they just collapse sometimes, and that's just the condition. Sometimes it can come out so many different ways in people. But when I kind of hit my teenager years and my kind of growth spurts again, stuff really did start to kind of, the glasses that I wore stopped working. The light got to the point where when I not have my lenses and I have like goggles on, they look like welding goggles, and a hat. And it's everything changed in my life. Like my world got turned. I couldn't play rugby anymore, and I was absolutely gutted because rugby was my other love in my life, and it was two sports that had been there since day dot. Because again, I was a shy young man when I was a kid. I was bullied a lot at school, never fitted in until I got to senior school, and I found my like, little clan. But like it just broke me, like literally broke me, and I went to the doctors, people that you think who would look after you and give you the kind of the feeling safe. That's what I was trying to look for, like that safety blanket. And I stupidly, you do the typical thing, you Google because it's getting worse. I know it's what's happening. I'm just like losing my mind. And I found out about albinism, and I suggested it to the doctor, and he just laughed in my face. And he just laughed in my face. He said, "Don't be stupid. It's not that. I don't know what it is, but what we're going to do, we're going to send you to see a psychiatrist because we think it could be uh, up here in your mind. You think you could be making it up." And I just sat there for about a minute, and it's like an out of body experience. I was just like, "What did he just say to me?" And then it was just kind of like I was looking back at myself, and I just could see myself just collapse inside and break. And I went to go see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist sat me for an hour, and I went into this kind of little building, like the little port cabins in Hull, and the 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 person ran out and started screaming and shouting, and like they had to kind of take him back in, and people were trying to calm him down. And I sat there, and I was like, looked at my mum who was with me, I went, "I'm not like that, am I?" And like it just ate away at me, and it ate away at me, and ate away at me. And we have this wonderful fair in Hull. And sorry, the psychiatrist nurse sat with me for an hour, talked to me for an hour, like this, over a cup of tea, and they were like, "There's nothing wrong with you, and we just don't know what's happening, and I'm sorry." And that kind of gave me a little bit of peace, but still inside I'm going, "So what the hell's happening?" And that all kind of then just kind of stagnated for a little bit, and like I just sat at home. Mum was trying to keep me busy because I lost my job and couldn't play rugby, and I was kind of losing my mind a bit. Like I didn't want to get out of bed, and what I now know is it's called. I had depression and anxiety, and I just didn't want to be outside. And it got to the stage where I nearly, I didn't want to be here anymore. Like I was suicidal, and I just was like, "Mum." I didn't actually. My mum didn't really know about it, but inside, I never told her that I was like didn't want to be here anymore. Like I was thinking about how to take my own life, and it just ate away at me. And then one evening, I got a call off my dad, and he was like, "Can you be ready by Friday?" I was like, What do you mean be ready?" And then he works for a guy, an Egyptian oil tycoon person, and his wife has a very severe version, a rare version of multiple sclerosis. And again, very similar story. Dots didn't know what happens. She got taken to America. He could afford to do it. And my dad was telling the guy about my story and about how unwell I was, and like just not feeling what I wanted to be. Like he could tell there was something up, but didn't really say anything to anyone. And then he just took me to America, and I got treated over there to kind of understand what it was. I went through again just a battery of tests, blood tests. They knocked me out to have a look at my eye because it got to the stage where my eye just couldn't open for long because the light was just too much. I found out I had Bell's reflex, another little small condition I didn't know about. And they just said, we've not seen it before, but we think it's albinism. We think it's oculocutaneous albinism. I was like, okay, a bit of an answer. And then I came back here and I found another doctor at Moorfield Eye Hospital called Professor Michaelides. And just like I've walked in for about 30 seconds, looked at my nose, looked and kind of threw my contact lenses into my eye, and he was just like, yeah, you've got it. And I just sat there and I was like, and I was expected to have a fight or something, like, she was like, yeah, you've got it. Like, my 14-year-old son could diagnose it. What do you want to do about it? And for the first time, I broke down a little bit. And I broke down in America because the first time, it was like the first time that person put an arm around me and went, you're going to be all right, Chris. Like, we got you. And I just remember crying, sobbing my heart out. Because, it generally does eat away at you, going, am I making this up? What's happening here? And it just kept coming and coming every day at me, every day. And like, I just didn't know if I wanted to exist anymore. And it just broke me in half. And I got rebuilt. And kind of when all this was happening, judo was that kind of, as I said, that the kind of, I didn't want to go outside unless it was judo, because I knew judo, I could just go and disappear for an hour. And before I got my contact lenses, I was doing it blindfolded. So it was kind of, I was learning how to do judo blindfolded, and I was beating people on the circuit. And
So
yeah, it
that
was
was to
just
keep. Sorry, Chris. That was so the blindfold
to
was to
keep the light
keep
out. Yeah, yeah.
the light
Before my
out.
contact lenses, I had to put a blindfold on to do judo before my contact, what I'm wearing now. But the problem was, I was still beating people. I was going to competitions blindfolded. It looks a bit like 50 Shades of Grey, but it was the only way I could do judo. You know what I mean? Like, it was just the way I could kind of still do the sport I love. And it gave me a bit of purpose again. Like, as I said, my mum was trying to give me jobs to do in a day because, like, I was always a hard worker. I wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to have my independence. I lost all that. I got marched out of the garage where I was working for many years because it got to the stage where I kind of always had to, when I had to use parts, I had to use a magnifying glass. And I don't think it's the best thing if you're walking in and you see someone use a magnifying glass to look at a break and you're going, and then the college guy was kind of came in and he just said, Chris, you can't do this. You just you're an insurance nightmare, and I'm sorry, you got to go. And my boss, Richie, who is an amazing man, looked after me so much. He just, both of us were in tears because I worked so hard to get there, and I worked so hard. I was trying to get my apprenticeship, and it just wasn't meant to be. But as I said, like judo, was that one thing that just kept me going, and it was that kind of gave me 2 hours in an evening. I can go and rip someone's head off and just forget about it, and Jeff Brady, Danny Kaniski, Steve Shepherd, Dave Platten, these guys were the ones that kind of looked after me and took me on and kept me going. And David Lamb, one of the senior fighters at the club, he looked after me as well. There was so many people who just got around me and saw what was happening to me and saw it was really taking not a physical but also mental effect on me. And there's not a book on how to ever live with that. And I was on an albinism conference in Norway. I talked at a youth albinism conference, and I met a doctor from Britain, and I told him my story, and he just apologised. He said this shouldn't have happened, and it's extreme circumstances what happened to me, and I know it was. I was just very unlucky. I was just very unlucky, and I just it just happens, doesn't it? And this is to say, it shouldn't have happened, but it did. And I just try to kind of get through it the best I can. Again, there's no manual on how to live with it. There's no manual on how the hell do I get myself out of this situation. What I didn't
How
know
old were you when you were going through all of that?
between 17 and 19, really pivotal. So it started kind of really happening between 17 and 19. It was the worst 2 years of my life. And in that time, what I didn't realize, it caused so much. So I didn't realize at the time, but when I went through the second time before Paris, I had a really bad relapse in my mental health to the point where I nearly made a really, really bad mistake one evening. Um, I'd been living with PTSD my whole life and depression, anxiety, and luckily the second time round, because the first time I just lived with it, got on with it, and kind of tried to put it to bed myself. But what I didn't realize, it made a bigger problem a few years when I kind of had a relapse again. and I certainly did something very stupid nearly and regretted it. But luckily, I kind of didn't make that mistake, and I kind of can hear now to talk about it. But yeah, it was a very traumatic kind of period of my life, which stemmed into something else.
It's an unbelievable journey. I mean, there's so much that is just beyond anything that I've ever experienced. Throughout my teens and my
Mm.
sporting career, and the reasons for my sport, like committing to my sport, is it's hard to relate. First of all, I can't imagine having to deal with all of that at those ages, which are so pivotal. And I feel like sometimes at those ages, it's just about survival and just getting through
Mm.
and not being caught up, because there's so many different things that can come at you in this world. I'm
Mm.
understanding this more and more as I'm getting older. There's so many different things that could just take you off track. And as you say, like making an unfortunate decision in a moment that feels like the right thing to do, but actually it's the wrong thing. And the fact that you had sport there to kind of help you through that to a certain extent is, I mean, it just shows the power of sport, right?
Yeah, and power of sport, power of what it can bring people. Like the second time round, I'll be very honest with you. So the I always question myself, even though I had a diagnosis and even though I had the guy telling me, I still questioned it. And before Paris, to compete in Paralympic judo, you have to be classified. And I've been classified for the last 15 years. As soon as I kind of able to want to compete on that circuit, I got classified. I've already been classified. Loads of people have assessed me and understood my condition and everything like that. And then one time, the kind of the Paralympic uh, IPC or IBSA, who I'll be honest with you, the process is not the best. You know what I mean? And athletes are treated like cattle, and I'm there opening about my disability, the person who knows how to live with it the best. And sometimes you get people who don't really understand their jobs and what they're supposed to do. Sadly, before Paris, whilst trying to deal with the second onslaught of depression, anxiety, and making the stupidest mistake of not being here anymore, that kind of kicked off, and it made it 10 times worse because it felt like people were questioning me again, and I just was spiraling again. I didn't eat. I just broke down every day. My wife was calling me every morning because she was scared that, if I wasn't going to pick up the phone, my dear mate Evan Malloy, who our housemate, he tried to help me, but it's a real thing. Mental health, like depression, anxiety, it's words that are not used that often. And I was quite scared to use it. And I would never ever talk about this because I was quite embarrassed what I did, nearly did. And then it was a bit of me when I talked to my counsellor, and he was like, "But why are you not going to talk about it? Because there's loads of other people in this very similar position who kind of have their own troubles and their own difficulties, and I, I I believe that it's important to talk about these things and open up a little bit because, especially from a man's side, men's mental health is so a taboo subject, and not many
100%.
people talk about it. And I'm very open about it, and I'm a lot braver now telling people that I still, like it's not like it's treated like I still suffer sometimes, and I still in my own head have that little man in the back of my head question me and go, have you got albinism? Have you got that? And just thank God for my wife because she got me through that second time. And it got to the stage where it was just, she said she was checking me every day. She was calling my housemate because I had to live in Walsall because it was a centralised programme. So I lived between Swindon and Walsall for many years. Because I couldn't train for me, I had to train in Walsall. And she was just panicking like hell because she's never seen me like that. And, my mum didn't really understand till I kind of talked to her about it and I opened up to her about it. And it's just a scary thing. And I think they realise you need your Spartan wall. And again, my counsellor, an amazing guy, absolutely amazing guy, just helped me understand that I need the people around me. Like I can't do it myself. The first time it was just me and my mum. The second time I had my Spartans. Like everyone was behind me. Everyone knew that I deserved to be in the Paralympics, and even questioned my existence. Like, everyone was behind me, like, no, you deserve to be there, you deserve to be who you are, you deserve what you've done. And yeah, the second time I had my people behind me and they got me through it, and I dealt with it and I beat it, and I am like I won't say a survivor, but I've faced it head on, and I know I can face it again if it ever came back and reared its ugly head at me for some strange reason. Like, because again, as I say, it's not like treated; it's still going to be sat there simmering away, and it will always occasionally rear its ugly head. But it's how you deal with it. And the second time, I dealt with it a lot better than the first time, and I got help, and I got talking about it, and it's one of the best things I've ever done, counselling. And I will openly say now, if anyone is listening to this, and are listening to me waffling a little bit, is that to go and get counselling, because it's so nice to have someone who is not anything, no agenda, no nothing, who just sits there and listens to you, and then sometimes validates why you're feeling like that. And yeah, and really I kind of dealt with it the second time. But is what want the best prep into Paris, because I was trying to deal with classification, and then I nearly snapped my knee in half because I was trying to carry on training full time. And then it was like, well, am I going to go to the Paralympics? Can I go and do it? It was just, yeah, it aged me about 10 years.
Like, it'd be good to hear about like how the environment that you were in was able to support your new reality. From the point that obviously you lost the eyesight through the first couple of Paralympic cycles, and then obviously through Paris as well, and the challenges that you faced there.
So the kind of initial, the British Judo has some. We have Bupa care when you're. I think you guys understand a Bupa UK sport, and I was very lucky to kind of get some real good support on that. Like what was it, the first time when I dislocated my hip, and I kind of came back in like 3 weeks, and the other time was where I thought I broke my neck because I landed on my neck really awkwardly, and luckily I got correct care quickly, and I actually wasn't. I just had like I jammed my neck in an awkward position, and then this time where I kind of came back with mental health, it kind of really helped me because, as I said, when I kind of went originally through it as a teenager, I just got on with it. Like, I was like, okay, right, I got a diagnosis. I want to go do judo. I want to be a Paralympian. I kind of almost forgot about it and put it to bed a little bit and boxed it. But when this second time it happened, as I said, I think it was really hard because it was like I knew there was a bit of anxiety because of classification. Classification is very difficult, especially in Paralympic sport, because you're opening yourself to people and going, "Here's my disability. This is who I am," and then they question you, and I've never been okay with that because of my own because of what I went through as a teenager. So when that happened, it really it took it out of me. And then the second time around, it just enveloped my life. As I said, I didn't really sleep, I didn't eat, I didn't drink. I kept going, have I got a disability? Do I have albinism? Even though I've got all these doctors telling me I have, all these people. And it got to the stage where I went to go see Professor Michaelides again the second time because I needed another note. And I just remember breaking down in tears in his office. And it was the point where I was trying to talk to him, but when you kind of try to... my wife was trying to like calm me down. My coach, John Z, for many years, he was trying to explain what the situation was. I was just going, have I got it? Have I got it? And again, he said it to me again, that same words. It was like, my 14-year-old son could diagnose you. You have got this condition, so shut up. And for the first time, I needed someone to be that kind of harsh with me because I was just not listening to anyone. I was just, even though this professional who knows a lot more than I ever will, who has diagnosed me, he had to tell me to shut up because I was not helping myself. And I said it, and it caused me an injury because I was still trying to train through. Because with Paralympic sport, you've got like a few chances to classify. If you don't classify the first time, you've got another competition to classify again. And I just tried to train through it and but I just remember breaking down on sessions, and Johnsy would have to kind of calm me down. And like, judo's not the most easy sport when you have a breakdown and cry, and then someone's trying to rip your head off, and you're going, I don't want to do this anymore. He's like, no, relax. But there's sadly one time when that did happen, I went back on to fight, and I just got my kind of, again, because I think it was so much stress and anxiety, I just misjudged something. I turned in and I just felt my knee buckle, and I remember I'm just like, laid on the floor, and I'm done, and I'm done, I'm not coming back. And again, he just said, shut up, get to the physio room. And again, just the most simple thing for me, where I kind of like go into this mass kind of, I just need someone to be so honest with me and quick with me and just go, shut up, get up, don't make a scene. And then that's fine. And I'm like, all right, I got it. And then I remember sitting on the physio bed and just like, I'm done. And again, this is where he just took the lead, and he was just like, listen, we don't know what's happening. We'll get a scan on it. And Bupa Care, amazing, get a scan the next day. And I had like, you've got a 2.5. I was like, what do you mean? An MCL 2.5. Well, it's not a 2 and it's not a 3. I was like, so is it 2.5 then? She's like, yeah. So it was quite funny actually. And then there's all that stress as well. So it was just, yeah. I tried to come back from it quite quickly and compete again. So, which is stupid to try and compete on because I did it with my hip. So I segueing now with the stories here, but the first time I did my hip, I was like 6 weeks and away from the World Games, which is like the World Championships, and I dislocated my hip 6 weeks before at my coach's club in Grimsby, and I was like, my career's done. I've just gone through all that as a kid. I've got my sport. I've dislocated my hip. My career's done. And I remember him again. He's a bit of a Yorkshireman. We all know Yorkshireman life. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. You're being a bit of a, you get up. You're fine. I can't move. The ambulance guys walked in, and he's prepped the guy because he thinks I'm not. It's serious injury. He thinks I'm just like. End the session. You're laying there and you're making a scene now. Get up. And I couldn't move. And I was saying to him I couldn't move. And the ambulance guys walked in. He's kind of took my pants down so he could feel my hip, and he's gone. He's looked at my coach and gone, "He's dislocated his hip." And I remember this, and he just looked back at the ambulance guy and he went, "Well, it's a lot of drama, isn't it?" He was like, I just sat there and I was in so much pain because I didn't have painkiller. I was sat there for about 3 hours without. I couldn't move. Like I just sat there, and then the hospital was only like down the road, and I just couldn't move. And it was like, yeah. But in that kind of space, in about 6 weeks, I'd just wait for 3 weeks, get to go see the specialist, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna go in. I want to go and fight the World Games because if I go there, I go to Rio. He was like, nah, Chris, it's not possible. Like you're stupid. And I was like, I really want to do it. And I think because of what I went through with my diagnosis with my kind of vision, I knew I could do it. And I was like, right, give me 1%. And like I remember having an argument with a specialist, my PD and performance director and my coach, Johnsy. And it got to the stage where I was like, you're right, I'll give you 1%. And then in the space of 3 weeks, I chucked away the crutches after 2 days, started walking on it. I asked them to take the stitches out and just glue it up. And then like I was just rehabbing like every hour. I was rehabbing and icing. And I went to sleep with, with the game readies on? You know the game readies? I went to sleep with it on so I could just kind of freeze my hip up. And then after about, I think it was like 10 days, I went back doing judo, which he was like, all the doctors were like, you were so stupid doing it. And I was like, yeah, no, but I wanted to be a Paralympian that much. I wanted, because of what I went through in my own head, like hell in my own head. I was like, I know I can do this, like the first time round. And then on the 21st day from my second operation, I was stepping on the mat in Korea. And I took my first ever world medal. So it was, yeah.
That's unbelievable. And like, I mean, a great example of exactly what you're talking about is Lindsey Vonn. I don't know if you saw what happened with her the Winter Olympics just gone. Obviously,
Yeah.
doing her ACL was in 9 days before the start of the games,
Yeah.
and still competing, and then obviously having that major crash. And the external perception of that is she was stupid to do it because the ACL caused her to then have this even bigger crash, whatever. But that's where people just
Don't understand.
can't understand the unbelievable drive of an athlete and that real desire, and also the confidence to know that you can do it. Like for Lindsay, the ACL didn't contribute to a crash. For you, you went from a hip dislocation to a world medal, and most people probably thought you could do it, but that belief in yourself is fantastic. And like, would you say it's partly to do with what you dealt with, that you were able to even have that belief in the first place
I
to be
think
able
it
to
what
like get through that situation?
I think yeah, I think it, as I said, I think this is what I went through, kind of the original diagnosis. I knew I could
Yeah.
go and kind of do it, because that for me was pure hell. That was like what I was going through there wasn't, to be honest, that wasn't hell. What I went through as a teenager, not being believed, not wanting to be
Yeah.
anymore, nearly doing it, like
Hmm.
that is hell in my own head. I knew that was hell. So I knew this was just a bit of a speed bump, a bit of a hurdle. But what people don't understand is that if an athlete wants to do something, you are gonna do it. Like I was willing to go and risk dislocating my hip again, because if I did that, I was gonna go and be a Paralympian. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have met my wife. We wouldn't be married. Like everything happened for a reason, and everything, like, and after that, I actually started to get results. So like, I almost needed that to prove to myself I was worthy to be there. And like, it was the worst preparation ever. As I said, you're not supposed to ever chuck crutches away, but I chucked them away. You're not ever supposed to take your stitches out. I asked them to take the stitches out. I remember the first judo session back, I was like, what's that warm thing running down my leg? I was like, have I peed myself? And I put my hands down. I was like, oh God, it's blood. So what they did, they stuck it back up, and then we like kind of taped it. I went back on the session. So it was just like, so I could finish the session. They were just a bit like,
Built different.
you just have to be. And I think there was that drive, like the drive to be a Paralympian was so much. Like I needed that, not just for me, but for the people around me, because of what they did for me to be there. And I just really wanted it. And I think that's why I was able to do it. And it was, yeah, everyone still goes to me, would you go and tell athletes to go and do it? And I don't know. I wouldn't ever say to athletes go and do it. I think my circumstances was just an extreme circumstance. But again, the people that know their bodies best are the athletes. And like that lady who, did her ACL, the risk reward factor, the reward outweighed the risk. She could become Olympic champion. And on the day, we know, on the day in the Olympics or Paralympics, anything could happen. You could be having a great day. Well, that person opposite you or the person you're racing against is having a better day than you. You know what I mean? So you just need one good moment, one good run. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that is the risk these athletes, we always take. Like, yeah, it could have come out again. You know what I mean? But I really wanted to become a Paralympian. And she wanted to become an Olympic champion. I didn't. I would have done the same thing. Like, just tape it up, get on with it. Like, you have to be built like that. Like, if you really want to get to that level, there is a little bit of, I call it a bit of unhingedness, because you need it. Because, like, not everyone is going to call themselves an Olympian. Not everyone's going to call themselves a Paralympian. Like, to be in that top echelon, you have to have that kind of small bit of unhingedness, because you have to kind of push yourselves to that next level.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It reminds me of speaking with JJB, Jamie Jones Buchanan, for Leeds Rhinos, CEO right now. But he was kind of saying this, and obviously as a player, and obviously now you have a lot of rules in sports like rugby to do with concussion, and obviously it's the right thing. They're trying to protect people, but one thing that he was expressing was this idea of like, well, suddenly, but because of these rules, you're actually taking things out of you're taking decisions out of the hands of the athletes, when they might, they can't then just necessarily make the call that you made, Chris. And it's just this, and it's like I can see there, you're like, what do you advise people? It's so tricky, but it's just it's that insane kind of drive. But Chris, I wanted to ask about, I think something obviously that's really, it's probably very difficult for people that aren't in the para side of things to understand. It's like the classification styles of things. You said earlier, like feeling like cattle, and I just thought, and when suddenly categories are changed, and that's impacted you massively, right? I mean, how how does that impact your identity as a person, as an athlete?
I could spend an hours on this, because I think So we luckily we've got hours, so we know what I mean. But no, uh, so for me, a lot of people don't understand with Paralympic games. For athletes to compete in the Paralympic games, you have to be classified. You have to, as I say, take your kind of doctor's notes and your doctor's kind of letters. You go and speak to classification. They then will classify you into a category. So for me, the system used to be B1, B2, B3. I was a B2, which is a middle range, due to kind of light sensitivity and obviously my acuity and lots of other different things and everything kind of happening. And after Tokyo, they changed the system. They went to more sport specific classification. So J1 and J2. J1 became where fully blind people would fight other fully blind people. And J2 was where vision impaired people would fight. In the old system, we all just fought each other. If you were fully blind, doesn't matter. Like because in judo, you just grip up and you get on with it. And like I have faced some of the best judo fighters who are fully blind and literally, excuse my language, handed my ass to me. Like honestly, like some of the best fighters I've ever fought because they were so strong and they felt you come in and they swept you and you were flying through the air going, "Oh my God, fair play, sir." And that's judo fight. It's beautiful. You know, you get yourself battered and it's just you just shake hands and get on with it. And with this new system now, the issue is with classification. This is my personal opinion. It's first of all, what I went through was can I talk from my experience now? So with IBSA, we were just being classified. So one of my classifications were done next to a buffet. So you were sat there, all the test machine was next to people just getting food for their lunch, and you're sat there waiting to go and get classified. They were doing tests in a random hall in some random hotel room, which wasn't actually the correct test environment. The other one was done in some sort of, I think it was like a dentistry hospital / I don't know what it was. Another one was done in a random hotel in Georgia. Like it is just done where they can fit him in. And it's not done under the correct test condition. So with my condition, which is specifically affected by the light, mine would vary. And it would always vary inside the rounds of classification. I think it was like 1.3 log mile. I don't want to tell you, like it was so much data, but it was like always in the realms of being classified. However, they wanted to know why it would vary. And everyone, from doctors to other British classifiers to other people, would say, well, because he's got a light condition, affected condition, where, you know, in this light I could see okay, but in the next one I can't see a thing. But that's just because of the light. I can't control that. It's my condition. But they just wanted to understand it, and as I said, because they couldn't get into my eyes unless I was fully unconscious under anaesthetic, which my team doctor refused to do because he was like, "That's stupid to put you under just to have a look in your eye," where they could get through to my contact lenses. They wanted to have like a colour picture, but everyone was saying, well, he can't do it because he's got this condition, which is called Bell's reflex, which means if you shine a light in my eye, it will flick to the back of my head, and I can't control that either. And all this was happening, but no one was listening to each other. And then it got to the stage where you had International Paralympic Committee, the IBSA guys, who are kind of the controls of the classification, and then you had like our team doctors and classification people, and they got all these people get together. They all sat around this meeting and went, right, what's happening? And then someone would say, well, he should be classified. They all agreed. And everyone was like, so why are we having this meeting if you all agree? Like, and then it was going around in circles. And it came to the last event where I've already caused myself an injury. Like, I was just pure, like, out of my own head. Like, I just didn't know what to do. I didn't even want to be there. I think I was just trying to get through it. It took me 30 minutes to go and get classified. The other previous times, it took me 2 hours, because the problem is also with classification, these classifiers have to see 40 people in a day. How can you see 40 people in a day and make a correct decision under the correct environment? You can't. And this is the problem that people find with classification. It's done so quickly. They don't have enough time to speak to them and get to know them as a person on a human level. And if they treat them instead of a bit like cattle and actually get to know the condition, understand the condition, read the notes instead of have to rush through it because they've got another 39 people to go and see, this is the problem. But when it went to Georgia, it was me, maybe 5 other people that need to be classified on a day, and they had more time with me. So in half an hour, they could read my notes, no pressure. They put drops behind my lenses, which previous classifiers wouldn't do, and then these two were like, "Yeah, you can do it. It's in the rule book." I was like, "So why does no one know the rules either?" So you've got people who are doing the classification not knowing the rules. So for me, the whole system needs to be re-looked at. Not treat the athletes like cattle, first of all. People knowing their jobs, knowing the rule books. But also, I actually felt sorry for the classifiers, because the classifiers get given 40 people. You got to see 40 people in a day, go and do it. Let the classifiers have more time and do their jobs properly. That's where it also goes wrong, because they're stressed, and then they treat you like you're a criminal. And you go,
Yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa. I know you're stressed, but don't bring it on to me. So there's lots of things that need to change, and I'm hoping people are listening, because I want to help, and I want to kind of
Yeah.
create a bit of conversation about how classification systems need to be done properly in the correct environment. Because my belief is you have hospital centres away from sport, because I don't know why athletes getting classified at sporting events. Like, not only do they have to, Paralympic athletes have to worry about the sporting event, go and compete, you also have to go and worry to go and get classified, which isn't inhumane in the first place. You shouldn't have people trying to focus on performance, but then going at the same time talking to someone about the disability and unearthing really serious conditions that has affected them. So my belief is that you have a few centralized hubs that all Paralympic sport can go to, that can see, you have all the specialists on site, you have mental health care for counsellors that can help people through the diagnoses, help people to understand the classification system. If they don't get classified, they're there to go and speak to them about it, because that's where it went wrong as well. Luckily, I had British Judo that did that, but there's other people. There was a young man from Cuba who he just went off the way. I never heard of him. Like, I messaged him a few times afterwards and to check in on him, and he never got back to me. So I hope he's okay. But it's, again, just no one's thinking about the mental health, and then these places can also be done away from sport, which is really important. So yeah, I said to you, I could speak about all night about this. It's
No, like it's super interesting, because again, it's not a world that we understand and know. But like you say, you go to a competition, you get classified, and then you compete. So you could be going to a competition not knowing what classification you're going to be competing in, first of all, right?
so in judo,
I'm sure you'll have a good idea,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so we knew, because this is another problem with classification systems, that there's some classification things that maybe shouldn't have been. That there's some countries that have been caught not doing the correct documents properly. If we just say it that way, I've got to be careful,
Yeah, I
because
understand.
of what I say, but not doing the correct documents correctly. And like the British side, I know all British athletes, when they go to classification, have done it correctly. They, like, especially for the judo side, you have to see a classifier in Britain, you have to go see a doctor, and then you go and see someone. Some countries, you just go there with a piece of paper, and you don't know who signed it, you don't know who they are. Like, it's just some random person. This is where it also needs to change as well. It's like, there's a young lady from Azerbaijan in judo who didn't have a condition, and she was Paralympic champion, and she somehow got classified. Somehow, I don't know what happened, but skipped everything. I don't know how she got through all the surgeons, and she was classified, and she went on, I think, Tokyo, same one as me. And you just go, how's that happened? So again, the system needs to be a quite smooth, fluent one. And I think doing it away from a sporting event is the correct way, and doing it in a medical environment hub where they can control the test conditions, have people in the correct places, like proper specialists, classifiers, head classifiers. The system, we need to have it away from sport. So the system is done in a safe environment where there's mental health support, there's the correct specialists, there's all level types. You've got the classifiers, head classifiers, you've got all the correct machine, because some machine would turn up, they were broken. Some machines would turn up and they weren't working properly, or they didn't have it. You do it next to a buffet. It was just like they
Crazy.
need to have the correct play, and that's why I think it should be done away from sport.
Yeah,
And
that makes total sense. And like, that aside, so obviously the system itself when it happens is not ideal. But for you, when the classification system was changed and you were in a different category, so now competing exclusively against other visually impaired people, not against fully blind people, um, did that have an impact on your career and performances and anything,
No, not
or
no.
was it just the same as normal?
Just the same as normal. So the only thing that really changed for me was
Okay.
weight category. So I'm a rather large fellow. So I used in Tokyo, I was 100 kilos. And I always tell people this, like, I hate diets, I hate salads. Well, no, I don't hate salads. I like salads, but I like meat and I like chips and I like carbohydrates. And because of the classification system changing, meant my category got disbanded. So my under 100 kilo category was my natural weight. They were like, right, we're gonna make different weight categories up, and they went. I think it was like under 60s, under 81, no, under 66. I think under 81s, under 90, plus 90. And I remember having a conversation with my coach, and I was like, I'll be honest, I can't do 90 kilos. Like I could possibly do 95, but I can't do 90 because that is like killing myself. Because I carry a little bit of blubber as any athlete would, trying to, especially in a contact sport, you need a little bit of padding around your vital organs when you're getting thrown about on a daily basis. So naturally, I carry a little bit of protection, I call it. So I was like, I could lose that, but then even then, I'm like, I'm going to be skinny, and I was like, I can't do that for like 8 competitions a year. Then you want me to kind of compete on the best level. So basically, my decision to go to plus 90 kilos, which is anyone from 91 kilos. So I think the heaviest I've ever fought was 184 kilos. And that is only twice my own body weight. And I was like, how the sodding hell do I beat that person? And he wasn't no bigger than me. Like I was taller than this person, but he was just wide and he carried a lot of extra weight. And I was just like, I remember trying to throw him.
184 kilos.
And I tried to put my foot and throw him, and I was like, I'm not gonna throw him here. Like my foot disappeared. You know what I mean? I put my foot on him. I was like, where's my foot gone? So I was like, oh no. And then he stepped across me. So he stepped across me for a big throw. And I felt my knee, and I thought, oh, my knee's gonna go here. And what am I gonna do? And I somehow wriggled my way out of it. But in the end, my coach just like, rip his arm off. I was like, I'll do that. So then we were just trying to rip his arm off, and then you do some naughty little dark tricks, dark arts we call it, to make him tap, and then yeah, it was just, I don't know, yeah. Sometimes you just go, how did I beat that person? Like he was so big, and and he wasn't even big. Like I say big, he was like heavy, but he wasn't taller than me. Like, and he wasn't any stronger. He just remember stepping across me, and I was like, my knee is my ACL, my MCL, everything in my knees just going, get out of there quick. So yeah, I beat him because I had to rip his arm off. But yeah, it wasn't too bad.
And I saw as well, Chris, that you've said that your bronze in Paris was actually a result that was more meaningful than the gold in Tokyo.
And that is, I say this, and most people will say to me, "You are, I don't know what you're saying. Why are you saying that? You're lying." But I think it's because what I was chatting about with the journey to get that bronze. So, especially with the mental health journey and the being having to deal with facing my demons again and kind of like beating them thoughts, them difficult, stupid thoughts, like suicidal thoughts, and coming through the classification issues, dealing with my injury, because although I got self-classified in Georgia, amazing, I still got to get back on the map. And I've only got, it was June, May, June, July, August, 3 months to do it, to get myself fully recovered from like a bad MCL tear, to get myself fixed up here. Because as well, it takes time to heal, not just physically, but up there. And then when I actually stepped on the mat in Paris, it was kind of, people could see I was just happy to be there. I was just happy. Like you told me that 6 months ago, on the day that I would be in Paris fighting from the original issue, I would have bitten your hand off. And to go and get that bronze medal was the most special moment in my life, because
I had to really fight for that, not just physically, but up here. I had to beat everyone. Not like I always say to kids, like the hardest fight I've ever had to fight wasn't the person opposite me, it was myself. That was my hardest fight because I had to beat him. I had to beat every single time saying, you're not worth being here. You shouldn't be here. Why are you here? All them people, all that time. That's why that bronze medal means more to me. And it's, yeah, it was a special moment because I ran off the mat and hugged my wife, who, you know, saved me and helped me to get there. You know what I mean? And I hugged my coach, who he has it for some reason. He has a tradition of when I win a medal, he throws me. So he threw me off the mat. Which I'm just going to say, our performance director said to him, if he wins a medal, because he threw me in Tokyo, so I came off the mat in Tokyo. There's a video of him. He throws me. I gave him a hug, and he was like, I'm going over it. Why am I flying through the air? So he threw me on the ground. I was like, oh bloody hell, because he wanted to be the first person to throw. I was like, okay. So he did it in Paris. However, in Paris it was a concrete floor. So I've stepped off the mat to hug him, and again I'm crying with like happiness, but I feel myself flying through the air again. I'm going, oh no, and I've cracked my ankle on the floor, and I've stood up and I've tried to put weight on it, and I've gone, oh no. And apparently, our performance director said to him before I went out, do not throw him onto concrete floor. He threw me and I cracked my ankle and I had a massive lump for a few days on my ankle.
Did you have to hop on? Did you have to hop onto the podium to get your medal?
Well, no, there's a video of him. There's a video of him piggybacking me from when I hugged my wife. 'Cause he helped me over to my wife. And then there's a video of him piggybacking me because I was in so much pain. I was like crying, saying, oh, I'm finished, I'm done, I'm going to the next chapter. And then I'm also like wincing in pain because like he's thrown me on the mat. Can you know the bony bit of your ankle? And it's
Yeah.
whacked the floor, and I couldn't. Honestly, he was in trouble, but I found it funny. Yeah,
That's hilarious. You're gonna have to share that video with us. 'Cause
yeah.
I'd
I've
love to
tried to
see
find
that.
it somewhere. I was in so much pain.
I think as we kind of come towards the end of this main episode, I'm interested to know now, since your retirement, you retired after Paris,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
But you say you still do a bit of judo now and you're coaching, but how has your perception of success changed considering everything that you've been through, being a Paralympic champion, being a bronze medalist? What's your perception of success now, post retirement?
So my perception, I think, is changed a little bit. So I've 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 said I've retired, but I'm running a London Marathon in a few weeks. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm built like a HEV, not an F1 car.
I'll come watch you because it'll just be just round the road
Is it
from
around
where
there?
I'm living. So I'll come watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't miss me. The one who looks like Ed Sheeran. And
yeah.
honestly, it's a woman. The amount of people say I look like Ed Sheeran. I don't know. I wish I had his money. But no. So I'm playing around my tennis ball. Sorry. So I do that. I'm doing a marathon. I'm also recently, which I found visually impaired rugby again. So I never thought I'd play rugby again, and I was like really upset, and I've kind of come to terms with it. And then all of a sudden, I get a message saying, "Do you want to come play visually impaired rugby?" And I was like, "There's off a friend called Aaron," and I was like, "Yeah, what is it?" And I never heard of it. Never knew it existed. And I found it. I found I'm playing rugby again. It's not full contact, which is quite hard for myself because I love a little bit of a cuddle, but it's still I'm playing the sport that I love. That I'm playing rugby again. And recently we had England trials because they're taking an England team out to Japan for like a little I think it's like 4 nations of teams. So it'd be New Zealand, Japan, Ireland, and us. And I got selected. I did the trials and got selected last week to be on the team and to ask to be vice captain alongside. So the measure of success has changed a little bit for me.
Congratulations.
I know.
Hey, that's
I know.
mega. That's mega.
I did. You know what? I just wanted to play again, and I never thought I'd play again. I never thought I'd do the sport I love again, and I found it.
That must be quite
And
a good full circle kind of moment,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. And I will be very teary when I get like because the
Oh,
team's amazing. Like to be because as an Paralympic athlete, you are very professional all the time and like that. And same with rugby. But what's lovely about it, afterwards, you have a beer together and rugby, like a proper rugby team. Because I love judo and it is a team sport to an extent. But when you step on that mat, it is just you and that other person and your coach in the corner. That is it. Like you and that person and the referee, and that's it. What I've got rugby again is a team aspect of it, and it's so beautiful. And I've got a great bunch of lads that I'm training with, the Southern Spartans, the where was it? Sutton and Epsom rugby club, amazing rugby club, and then obviously going to go play for England now. So it's full circle, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm just love doing the sport that I also loved for many years, and started to give up, and now playing it again, and yeah, I'm also mentoring, so I'm helping young people who have their own difficulties and their own struggles and their own kind of demons to face. And I believe that sometimes if I had someone like myself when I originally went through this, I think I'd have been a bit different. So I think that's why I do it. I also then go around, share my stories, going to schools, talk to kids about my journey. And when people want to hear, I go and do public speaking events as well. So lots of things now, which I'm trying to do. And then I think my time is to give back and help people who are in a very similar situation and need that helping hand.
That's amazing, Chris. That's really powerful. I suppose this is kind of the final one from me as well. I thought it was really kind of attached to that. It was really interesting what you said before about sort of men's, some of the mental struggles you went through, but like men's health in particular, and how it's something actually I've kind of gone into some kind of men's coaching recently, and I think it does seem to be very difficult for men to be open and honest and share real vulnerabilities.
And this is the thing, like, so right, I'm sorry, but I'm going to do this. Back in the time, real men wouldn't show emotion; they'll get on with it. And them times have gone. We're in a new era now where men can talk to each other, and men can open up about each other, open up about the struggles of what they might be happening, about the pressures of maybe being the only earner in the family, or maybe losing their job and they're worried about providing for their family. Maybe they're struggling with their body perception of themselves. Something so simple is massive to someone, and I think my other thing and my passion is to share that men need to talk to each other. Like men need to open
Yeah.
up. Like the bravest of people will put their hand up and go, "I need help." You know what I mean? And there always
Well,
is going to be someone there for you as well.
yeah.
And I think so many people are like, "Oh, no one's going to want to listen to me and my troubles," but there is. There's so many people want to listen to
That's
the trouble.
that's that's the great thing now, that there are
Yeah,
people there willing to listen. That's
exactly,
what was not there before. There are people
exactly.
now that are there, ready
And
and waiting and wanting to listen.
exactly, and even if it's like a mate down, you go down the pub that would listen to you, or a mate that you go and play some paddle tennis or some tennis with, or you go for a walk with. Like, there's always going to be someone there for you, and you don't have to face it by yourself. Like, times are gone now where you have to put a brave face on. Be honest and open with each other. Like I when I go and tell my story in schools, obviously I kind of uh vary it, and I have to be careful with the kids that I'm talking to. And we talk about kind of my toughest opponent was myself. I won't go into kind of my other thoughts, but when it's a group of adults in the room, I will be honest and open, and I will tell people that I was willing to go and step off a platform and never come back. It got to my own head. That got to that stage where I was willing to go and make a mistake that I can never come back from. And I had everything. I had my wife, I had a house, I've got a dog, I've got my medals, I've got my an MBE of the King, everything. I had everything. But yet, because of my self-worth and the way I looked at myself, I was willing to get rid of all that. And I think men need to understand, especially if you listen to this, is that you're worth so much to someone. And if you are listening, go and talk to someone. If it's your mate, if it's professional, if it's, I don't know, just speak to someone. There's always, and I got the Amazing Samaritans on the phone, which you can talk to them on the phone, which is amazing. Just speak to someone, because I think that's when you feel better.
That's amazing, Chris. Just to tie that off, if you were to just kind of say maybe in just a sentence or two, now, like for you as a fighter, obviously, and for what you've gone through, as a man, what to you what is real strength as a man? would you say?
As a man, real strength is being honest and open with someone and just telling people how you feel. That is strength. Not trying to hide it, not trying to get on with it. Put your hand up and just say you need help. That is strength.
That's such a powerful message, and I think that's a really incredible message to finish on, except for our final question, which is, if your career was a movie, what would the title be?
That's a great question.
Now, this was in our email, and your team hopefully shared that with you and prepped you for it.
Do you know
We wanted
what?
to give you a little
No,
bit of a heads
it
up in
doesn't
advance.
surprise
Did it
you.
not?
No, and if I'll be
Oh,
honest though, they might have shared it with
nightmare.
me, but I'll be honest with you. Recently, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I also have a bad memory, so they might have told me, and it slipped my mind. So I'll be honest with you, it could be several options there. You know what I mean?
Well, we can work
Yeah,
through this one together.
let's work.
So
Yeah,
We'll work
yeah.
through it. Well, no, actually, no. I
if your
think
career was a movie, what would the title be? And this is going to be the title of the podcast episode. So that's the reason for the question, and I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on it.
I think mine would be. It's a great actually. I know actually. There's a great physio who looked after me for many years. He's called Precky, isn't it? Not John Prescott. And I thought I was being treated by the MP at first. I was like, what? Two Jags? Two Jags is treating me? Blooming hell. And then I found out it's John Prescott from Manchester. So I was like, right. And then the biggest thing he said to me, and even with all the success, and he said, remember, Chris, be humble and kind. And it's two words. Well, actually, be humble and kind. Maybe four. I'm not very good. I'm dyslexic as well. Four words, which I think is such a beautiful thing. Be humble, because you never know what's around the corner, and be kind. Be treated how you want to be treated. And I think that's the title of my humble and kind. Be humble and kind.
Be humble,
I
be
love
kind.
that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I love that
And
so
he's
much.
gonna be so annoyed that I've used that as well. But I don't care. I love it. I love it.
He hasn't trademarked it, so
He's on trademark.
Yeah,
So I'm
yours.
trademarking
It's
it
yours now.
right away.
Yeah. When
Right away.
when you write your book, there you go.
No, yeah, well, I don't know if I want to write. People say, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book." But I'm like, I don't know. I'm still humming and ahhing about writing a book. But yeah, and to be too many stories I can't put out.
Well, with that being said, we appreciate you sharing some of your stories with us today. It's been, I mean, the time's flown by. Obviously, we had a couple of minor technical difficulties, but it's absolutely okay. The stories have been, yeah, mind blowing, to be honest, and has given some real perspective. And from all of these podcast recordings that we do, I gain so much value from it, from many different reasons, and this has been just another one. So
Thank you.
yeah, I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate your candidness to share everything, and I wish you all the best for your upcoming rugby tournament.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The
I better get the
marathon.
marathon done first.
And the marathon,
I've
yeah,
got
of
to get
course,
that
and the
done.
marathon. I
I've got a runner.
I'm going to search your name and track you and see if I can cross paths with you somewhere, probably around Canary Wharf.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a state though. My sister's my guide. My sister's
Yeah.
my guide, and when she runs, she looks pristine. And like she runs a marathon, doesn't look a hair out of place. Like beautiful, like still doesn't look like anything. I'll look like the real version. You know what I mean? Like the haggard mess. You know what I mean? Like look just like I want to be done with it. Like that's what I'm gonna look like. She's gonna look like, oh, I'm really enjoying myself. Look at me running along. You know what I mean? Not a thing out of place, and there's me being dragged along like Gollum, just like
You'll make it. You'll make it the whole way, regardless.
yeah, I'm gonna
That's
crawl
it.
it. yeah.
That's- Still counts. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think this episode will go out post the marathon. It's the end of this month, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, 26. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid it's probably going to go out after. So we'll give you a a
Round of applause.
congratulatory.
Congratulations, yeah.
For
Well,
motivation.
we should do a post on the day, Fred, or the day before, actually,
Yeah,
to
100%.
say good luck. Actually, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Write that down,
Yeah.
Freddie.
Good
so
luck.
we can
Yeah.
remember
Good
to
luck,
do it.
Chris.
Yeah, good luck,
Let's
Chris.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I've got all the Vaseline ready for all the chafe in the areas.
yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh.
I'll have like...
Let's not get into that.
No, we're not going to get into that. No. That's a real man's problem, that. Everyone understands. Like, yeah, behave yourself. Sorry.
Oh dear. Well,
Fred,
as
let's
you know,
wrap.
I just
Before
yeah,
it
let's
gets
wrap.
too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a problem. This is a problem. I did what did I do? I did Come Down With Me many moons ago, for Paralympic special, and it was like, you know, when it's a skirt thing. Why did you ask me? And then it was just, I just think my wife at one stage just messaged me, why were you doing that? Like, what in the right mind were you doing? And I was like, I thought it was funny. It was just get a message off my wife going, what were you doing? Just what? WTF. That's all I got for about a week. But yeah.
That is amazing. Well, I second absolutely everything Jonas said, and I want to thank you myself, Chris, and that is where we will wrap up this main episode. If Chris is going to stick around for one more dive, our bonus section. So if you're not there yet, the link will be in the show notes. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.